What's up guys, Thaddeus here from Trucker Crew, and today, after the release of ZeniMax's article detailing skill lines and whatnot, we'll be talking about the possibilities that ZeniMax has given to us to try and help diversify ourselves and not all be exactly the same. No one wants to be running through Tamriel and come upon a clone of themselves with the same gear, same abilities, and same looks. ZeniMax has done a good job of getting rid of the possibility of coming across someone who looks like you, with their numerous selections and character creation ranging from height to muscle build to nose height to body marks. They've also done a good job of not restricting armor to specific classes, so you won't be seeing every single Nightblade wearing medium armor, although a majority are likely to be wearing it for the benefits you receive. The point is that the choice is yours if you want to be a tank, which in most games is thought of as wearing heavy armor, a lot of health, and just taking hits for days. You don't need to do that in Elder Scrolls Online. You could wear light armor if you really wanted to, although the perks you get provide incentive to usually stay pretty close to the usual armor. Now about skill lines. With only 4 classes, you may be wondering how you could diversify yourself from all the other players that happen to choose the same class as you. So let's dive in. We know that you're able to slot in attribute points and skill points. Attribute points are the health, magicka, and stamina, which currently are not respecable. So once you add a point to either of those 3 options, those are most likely going to remain permanent. Skill points are the abilities we get from our class, guilds, racials, and weapons. These you can reset and try out different loadouts to see what style within your class suits you best. We get an action bar of 6 abilities. This set of abilities is composed of your choice of either your class abilities, weapon abilities, guild abilities, and racial abilities. The likelihood that you'll be running into someone with the exact same loadout is pretty slim. If we take a peek at the Nightblade abilities, there are a total of 18 that we know of so far, not accounting for the passive. So if you were only to slot in your class abilities, there's still a variety of loadouts within your class. Now, if we look at weapon abilities, which also offer multitudes of skills and passives, the chance of you coming across someone gets dramatically slimmer. And we can't forget about guild abilities too. The Mages Guild and Fighters Guild both offer abilities depending on how close you are with that guild. So by doing quests for one or both of those guilds, you're growing your reputation with them and will be able to slot in more abilities pertaining towards the guild. We also have racial abilities, which most likely won't be in every person's loadout 100% of the time because they usually don't relate to aiding in combat. But if we take a look at all these possibilities, there is such a small chance of coming across another player who has built exactly like you that we can say ZeniMax has done a great job of allowing other players to diversify themselves. Of course, with the amount of players that will be in the game, it's only a matter of time before you see at least a few people with very similar builds. But there's not much we can do about that. So in reality, with the amount of abilities we're given and with the restriction of only being able to use 6 at a time, we as players who want to distinguish ourselves from other groups of players don't need to worry about playing through Tamriel with people who look identical to you. The likelihood of running across a player who is, say, a Nightblade and has 2 class abilities, 1 weapon ability, 2 guild abilities, and 1 racial ability, and have each of those abilities be the exact same ones that you've selected, is so minuscule that it's safe to conclude that we as players can expect to not expect, confused, a large amount of players that look like us and play like us. So, while traversing the lands of Tamriel and slaying other players and creatures, you can rest assured that your choice of armor, class, loadout, and looks will remain fairly distinguishable. We also can't forget about the cash shop that ZeniMax has said is in-game. Although you can't buy your way to becoming Emperor in Cyrodiil, the shop offers account changes and cosmetics, which in many cases are articles of clothing that you can wear to further distinguish yourself from other common folk of Tamriel. Yet they do not change any stats of your character, simply change the look. But back to skill lines. Yes, there may be popular builds that a lot of people use because it's viable and strong, but other than that, most people's builds should remain fairly unique. Starting areas and the first few levels, though, don't expect to be super distinguishable from others. Mid-game and end-game is really where lots of players will be able to shine with their sets of gear and abilities that work for them and enchantments on their weapon. We did not talk about that yet. Aside from players looking different, we can change the stats of gear and weapons, making them stronger, give them a special passive, something along those lines that can further distinguish yourself from enemies. Say you're a dual wielder and you enchant your weapons with something that will burn your enemies for a few seconds after hitting them. Now, if you run across another player that also is of your class and dual wields, that enchantment you place will help distinguish yourself from that player and will help kill him in the end. If you are ever dueling, or if there ever is an implementation of an arena, it'll be extremely interesting to know that every fight you come across will be unique, and not just one specific class loadout against another class loadout. This brings in the idea and prospects of how dueling may work, but that's a video for another day. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed that video, and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you guys next time.